the broadcast. Alicia, give us an overall sense of what's happening around you, and also tell us how things panned out over there.
Well, Nupur, Republic is the only channel on board INS Vikrant, which is India's indigenous aircraft carrier, and this is the first time where INS Vikrant has reached Mumbai from Kochi. We have been reporting on board, and this is coming right after the Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese on Thursday, who embarked on India's indigenous aircraft carrier INS Vikrant, and Albanese, who was received on board Vikrant by Chief of Naval Staff Admiral Hari Kumar with a guard of honor. So we have been here reporting, and we have been seeing the India's indigenous aircraft carrier INS Vikrant, which is the pride of India, is been serving since years. And even we know that INS Vikrant, which has really played a vital role in 1971, but where it was before, earlier it was decommissioned in 2016, but last year, that is on 2nd September 2022, where the Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the first made in India aircraft carrier INS Vikrant, carrying it a historic occasion and an exceptional symbol of a self-relevant India. So here we have been seeing the capacity of INS Vikrant. Speaking about the specification of INS Vikrant, where it carries a mix of about 30 aircraft MiG-29K fighter jets, Kamov 31 MH-60R multi-role helicopters, in addition to the indigenously manufactured advanced light helicopters and light combat aircraft. So we are the only one channel here who have been reporting from the onboard INS Vikrant, and it's very prestigious, because even yesterday, where we saw the visuals of Australian Prime Minister, who was here on board, and he was honoured, he was embarked on the INS Vikrant, and he was honoured with a guard of honour. But what we have been seeing here, it's completely ready, and it's on board, where the people have been saying. And we'll also speak for more information. We'll also speak to, as we are joined with the Lieutenant Commander Chaitanya Malhotra. Sir, thank you very much for speaking to us. It's very honor for us, as we can see the Australian Prime Minister, who was here on board yesterday, and also it is an invite from the Australia as well, because the next program that is going to be happen in Australia is something has been invited to Indian Navy.
Ma'am, as of now, we don't have the exact details of the same, ma'am. However, it was a prestigious event for us, one of a kind event wherein a Prime Minister of a foreign nation has visited us, and we hosted them well, ma'am. And they had a long time here. They saw the deck and the facilities on board, and they saw the indigenous aircraft LCA Tejas and interacted with our crew and men. So all in all, it was a learning experience for us, an exposure for us, and a prestigious event, as I said.
So even we have been seeing INS Vikrant has reached for the first time in Mumbai from Kochi.
Yes, it has come for the first time to Mumbai, ma'am, and so we were here on a routine sortie. So this is the first port of call. Yes.
Any specification, if you want to share the details about it, because it's a very strong aircraft carrier, what we have been seeing since years now.
Ma'am, a platform which has given Indian Navy a different reach together. So Mumbai is our Western Fleet, and this is one of the places where, yes, an aircraft carrier will visit once it's sailing out. So it is part of our routine mission, which has been decided, and nothing to dwell upon, more to dwell upon actually.
Thank you so much for speaking to Republic. So it was Lieutenant Commander who was speaking and giving the information about the INS Vikrant, because it's the first time where it has reached Mumbai since when we know that the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who inaugurated back on 2nd September 2022. And it has been India's indigenous and very proud for the country, because here is what we have been seeing the visuals, and Republic is the only channel who have been reporting live from on board INS Vikrant, because in the announcement that has also been made, and also where the Australian Prime Minister has also took to the Twitter, where saying that I was pleased to formally announce Australia will host exercise Malabar for the first time later this year, bringing together Australian Navy, Indian Navy, US Navy and Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force. So it was indeed a very honored for the India as well, and even we heard from the Indian Navy that it was very prestigious moment for them as well, as they hosted Australian Prime Minister. But again, coming back to the INS Vikrant, which has built with the state-of-the-art automation features and is the largest ship ever built in the maritime history of India. It has a large amount of indigenous equipment and machineries involving major industrial houses in the country as well as over 100 MSIs. Vikrant has got his name, the first aircraft carrier which had played a vital role in 1971, designed by Indian Navy's in-house warship. So in 2016, when it was decommissioned, but of course it was never was apart from it, but it was getting it repaired. But again, now it has been a very strong, and of course we know that it has always been called as an India's indigenous aircraft carrier. And the visuals that we even saw, it is very honored that we can see, and even we have been reporting as this is the first time where INS Vikrant has reached Mumbai.
So from the INS Vikrant, Alicia, thank you very much. We can see the scale of this aircraft carrier, and also, of course, the exercise called Malabar is something that will deepen strategic ties between nations of the Quad. Thank you, Alicia. And here's a quick look at what else is making news across the world. In his first visit to Syria since the deadly Feb 6th earthquake, the Iranian Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdullahi met the Syrian President Bashar Assad in Damascus. At least 36 people were killed by extremists in conflict-ridden eastern Congo. The Allied Democratic Forces, the rebel militia with links to the Islamic State group, killed civilians in Mukondi, a village in North Kivu province, 25 kilometers southwest of Beni, in an attack that began late Wednesday. At least 6 people are dead and several more injured after a shooting in the northern German city of Hamburg. Shots were fired inside a building used by Jehovah's Witnesses in the northern German city. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has supervised a frontline artillery drill simulating an attack on an unspecified South Korean airfield, as he called for his troops to sharpen their combat readiness in the face of rivals' frantic war preparation moves. The Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has called on Thursday for further sanctions against Russia's nuclear industry in the wake of the latest wave of Russian missile strikes.
Чергове намагання держави-терориста воювати проти цивілізованості призвело до тимчасових відключень електрики, тепла, води у деяких наших регіонах і містах. Російські ракети сьогодні забрали життя 6 українців. Мої співчуття родинам.
Officials in Poland and Slovakia are urging their allies to provide fighter jets to Ukraine, saying that they are ready to send their Soviet-made MiG-29 jet fighters to Kyiv as part of an international coalition. A Palestinian gunman opened fire in a crowded street in central Tel Aviv late Thursday, wounding 3 people before he shot and killed, Israeli officials have said. Now, the shooting came hours after an Israeli military raid killed 3 Palestinian militants in occupied West Bank. US President Joe Biden is proposing a $61.3 billion budget for the State Department and US aid. Now, the 2024 request would boost funding for the State Department and US aid by under $5 billion, an increase of approximately 9% over this year's funding levels. The Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni has unveiled her right-wing government's plans to crack down on people smugglers following a cabinet meeting she held Thursday in the southern town near the beach, where a wooden boat packed with migrants broke apart 11 days earlier, killing scores and leaving many missing. 37 girls and 67 boys who were teenagers between the ages of 12 and 17, were found in a truck in Mexico who had left Guatemala intending to migrate to the United States and were returned to Guatemala. And coming up next, even as the ED arrests Manish Sisodia, a Delhi court will be hearing his bail application. And the Lok Ayukt grills Bribegate accused BJP MLA for over 5 hours in Bengaluru. No action on the MLA yet.
A serving soldier of the Indian Army has been murdered by a politician, and the Latvians media is quiet about it. Not emphatically, not vocally, not till Republic named and shamed them about their silence over Lance Naik Prabhu's death. Look at this man. He's the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister, and as our reporter runs after him to ask him to say one thing, he says not one word. He just keeps running away from the Republic reporters.
All the 9 of the accused have been taken to custody. The primary accused, Chinnasamy, had been picked up by the CID and handed over to the Tamil Nadu cops.
आप इंडिया आते हैं एंड देन यू स्टार्ट स्पेशल फोर्सेस, एनएसजी, गरुड़, मार्कोस. किस तरीके से ये सफर शुरू हुआ स्पेशल फोर्सेस को ट्रेन करने?
कर्नल साहब, तो ही वाज एट दैट टाइम CEO of 6AR, और पहली अपॉर्चुनिटी उन्होंने मुझे दी
अच्छा
टू ट्रेन हिज रेजिमेंट, एंड ही आस्क्ड मी कि आप इनको नाइफ टू नाइफ कॉम्बैट में खुकरी ट्रेन करो. जब मैंने ADG इन्फेंट्री के सामने वो डेमो दिया और उनको वो बहुत अलग लिखा, एज लॉन्ग एज आवर सोल्जर्स आर सेफ, दे गेट द बेस्ट, आई हैव नो प्रॉब्लम.
Sir, are you appearing before the Lokayukta? Sir, where were you all these days? Sir, where were you all these days? Mr. Madal, where were you? This is Mr. Madal Virupakshapat. His followers are the one.
Now, China's Xi Jinping has secured a third term as his country's head of state today. Xi, who leads the ruling Communist Party, will become China's longest-serving head of state since the Communist victory in 1949, after the country's 3,000 members of the rubber stamp legislature formally vested him with another 5 years as president today. Now, the annual legislative gathering is expected to also reappoint Xi as the chairman of the Central Military Commission, a post that makes him chief of the world's biggest armed forces in terms of active personnel. He was already the head of an identical party body overseeing the People's Liberation Army. Now, of course, Chinese lawmakers unanimously voted to give Xi Jinping a third term as president, today completing his accession as a supreme leader of the world's number 2 economy. Xi won the vote in the National People's Congress, officially giving him 5 more years in power, and demonstrated his unrivaled grip essentially over the ruling Communist Party. Now, this, of course, is unprecedented as far as China is concerned. It's not been... He has now become the longest-serving Chinese president, and obviously this is something that has bothered the United States the maximum. Also, essentially seen as the kind of power that he holds over China. Now, what we are given to understand is that he will also now officially be handed over the post of the head of the Chinese military, which is the largest in terms of active personnel who are serving. Now, pictures on your screen, of course, are coming to you of this ceremony that took place. So essentially, this is something that is norm-busting. It's not happened before in China. Also indicates the kind of power that Xi Jinping has in China. It's unrivaled. It also caps his rise as China's most powerful leader in generations. And here's a quick look at some sporting action. It is day one of the pivotal India versus Australia fourth test. And with their team 4 wickets down, Usman Khwaja and Cameron Green are currently batting for Australia with 255 runs on board. Veteran batter Agnello Matthews overtook former skipper Sanath Jayasuriya and became just the third Sri Lankan player to have scored 7,000 test runs as the island nation made a good start to their first test against New Zealand in Christchurch. Mohammad Shami made a raging comeback after a wayward first spell on day one of the India versus Australia fourth test. He packed off Marnus for 3 in Ahmedabad. The head coach Christophe Gaultier has called the performance of his PSG side weak as they were knocked out of the Champions League at the round of 16 stage by Bayern Munich on Wednesday, adding that the injuries were the main reason for this defeat. Amid his controversies, Prithvi Shaw has now posted a cryptic Instagram story in which he seemingly takes a dig at people using him for benefit. Some people will only love you as much as they can use you. Their loyalty ends where the benefits stop, Shaw's Instagram story read. With India eyeing a series victory over Australia in the final encounter of the Gavaskar Trophy on Thursday, the former India opener Wasim Jaffer launched a fresh warning as he urged Kohli and company to deliver the goods after receiving a wake-up call in the Indore test. The Australia opener Beth Mooney will miss the remainder of the Women's Premier League due to a calf injury that will require up to 6 weeks to heal. Mooney, the captain of the Gujarat Giants, suffered the injury in the opening match of the 2020 tournament in India last weekend as she retired hurt. Julian Nagelsmann says that his tactics helped freeze Lionel Messi and Kylian Mbappe out of the game before praising exceptional Josip Stančić for helping Bayern Munich knock PSG out of the Champions League. Thomas Muller, who has plenty of experience playing against Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, spoke about them as Bayern Munich knocked out Messi's PSG from the Champions League. Against Messi, things always go well at all levels in terms of results. At club level, Cristiano Ronaldo was our problem when he was at Real Madrid, but I have the greatest respect for Messi's World Cup performance, he said. The White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre has issued a response to Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' plea to allow Novak Djokovic to compete at the Miami Masters after the Serbian tennis players withdrew from India Wells. Now, the Nepalese lawmakers voted to elect a new president, an outcome that could impact the stability of the government that is headed by the Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal or Prachanda.
In the face of increasing political instability with a fragile coalition government, lawmakers in Nepal elected a new president on Thursday. Ramchandra Podel was declared winner after 5 hours of voting. He beat his lone opponent Subhash Chandra Nembang. Podel was a former parliament speaker and a senior leader of the opposition Nepali Congress Party. The election triggered a feud among partners in the governing alliance headed by Nepal Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal, who took office in December.
बन्धनको ड्राइभर भनौँ न पुष्पकमल दाहाल प्रचण्डलाई उहाँलाई ड्राइभरको सिटमा राखेका थियौँ अब ड्राइभरले गाडी छोडेर हिँडेपछि के हुन्छ ड्राइभर नै गाडी छोडेर हिँड्नुभयो.
A total of 884 members of the federal parliament and provincial assemblies gathered in the capital Kathmandu to vote for the new president. It is only the third time a new president has been elected since the country abolished its centuries-old monarchy in 2008 and became a republic. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
You are watching Republic TV. We slip into a very short break. On the other side, we bring you live and breaking, and here's what's coming up on that. After the CBI, now the ED arrests Sodia after round 2 of questioning. And the BRS leader K. Kavita is to hold a hunger strike in the national capital. 18 parties are likely to participate.
कहीं ना कहीं मार्शल आर्ट्स लड़ाई झगड़े खून खराबे से ज्यादा आई थिंक इट्स अबाउट हार्मनी आल्सो.
सर इट्स अ पर्सनालिटी डेवलपमेंट प्रोग्राम.
पूरा मार्शल आर्ट्स
बिल्कुल
जी.
आपकी फौज में भी यही है. डिसिप्लिन, माइंड, बॉडी एंड स्पिरिट इज इन कमांड ऑफ यू. आपके पास गन है बट आप किसी सिविलियन को गुस्सा आते गोली तो नहीं मार देते ना. यू हैव टू कंट्रोल दैट. दैट कंट्रोल कम्स फ्रॉम द माइंड एंड फ्रॉम द ट्रेनिंग. सो दैट जो आर्मी में हम बोलते हैं फोर्स कंटिन्यूम, किस फोर्स पे कितना फोर्स देना है, ये मेंटल कंट्रोल ट्रेनिंग से आता है, करेक्ट ट्रेनिंग से.
A serving soldier of the Indian Army has been murdered by a politician and the Latvian media is quiet about it. Not emphatically, not vocally, not till Republic named and shamed them about their silence over Lance Naik Prabhu's death. Look at this man. He's the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister, and as our reporter runs after him to ask him to say one thing, he says not one word. He just keeps running away from the Republic reporters.
All the 9 of the accused have been taken to custody. The primary accused, Chinnasamy, had been picked up by the CID and handed over to the Tamil Nadu cops.
आप इंडिया आते हैं एंड देन यू स्टार्ट स्पेशल फोर्सेस, NSG, गरुड़, मार्कोस. किस तरीके से ये सफर शुरू हुआ स्पेशल फोर्सेस को ट्रेन करने?
कर्नल साहब तो ही वाज एट दैट टाइम CEO of 6AR और पहली अपॉर्चुनिटी उन्होंने मुझे दी. अच्छा. टू ट्रेन हिज रेजिमेंट एंड ही आस्क्ड मी कि आप इनको नाइफ टू नाइफ कॉम्बैट में खुकरी ट्रेन करो. जब मैंने ADG इन्फेंट्री के सामने वो डेमो दिया और उनको वो बहुत अलग लिखा. एज लॉन्ग एज आवर सोल्जर्स आर सेफ, दे गेट द बेस्ट, आई हैव नो प्रॉब्लम.
Sir, are you appearing before the Lokayukta? Sir, where were you all these days? Sir, where were you all these days? Mr. Madal, where were you? This is Mr. Madal Virupakshapat. His followers are the ones who are in fact going on stating that he is a heart patient now, but all one needs to agree over here is that there are questions that are being asked, which he needs to go on and answer, because this man right here on our screens is tainted. His son is found with cash. He's caught red-handed, but there has been no sort of response.
कहीं ना कहीं मार्शल आर्ट्स लड़ाई झगड़े खून खराबे से ज्यादा आई थिंक इट्स अबाउट हार्मनी ऑल्सो।
सर इट्स अ पर्सनालिटी डेवलपमेंट प्रोग्राम।
पूरा मार्शल आर्ट्स।
बिल्कुल
जी।
आपकी फौज में भी यही है, डिसिप्लिन, माइंड, बॉडी एंड स्पिरिट इज इन कमांड ऑफ यू। आपके पास गन है बट आप किसी सिविलियन को गुस्सा आते गोली तो नहीं मार देते ना। यू हैव टू कंट्रोल दैट कंट्रोल कम्स फ्रॉम द माइंड एंड फ्रॉम द ट्रेनिंग। सो दैट जो आर्मी में हम बोलते हैं फोर्स कंटिन्यूम, किस फोर्स पे कितना फोर्स देना है, ये मेंटल कंट्रोल ट्रेनिंग से आता है, करेक्ट ट्रेनिंग से।
Soldier of the Indian Army has been murdered by a politician and the Latvian media is quiet about it. Not emphatically, not vocally, not till Republic named and shamed them about their silence over Lance Naik Prabhu's death. Look at this man. He's the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister, and as our reporter runs after him to ask him to say one thing, he says not one word. He just keeps running away from the Republic reporters.
All the 9 of the accused have been taken to custody. The primary accused, Chinnasamy, had been picked up by the CID and handed over to the Tamil Nadu cops.
आप इंडिया आते हैं एंड देन यू स्टार्ट स्पेशल फोर्सेस, एनएसजी, गरुड़, मार्कोस। किस तरीके से ये सफर शुरू हुआ स्पेशल फोर्सेस को ट्रेन करने?
कर्नल साहब, तो ही वाज एट दैट टाइम CEO of 6AR और पहली अपॉर्चुनिटी उन्होंने मुझे दी।
अच्छा।
टू ट्रेन हिज रेजिमेंट एंड ही आस्क्ड मी कि आप इनको नाइफ टू नाइफ कॉम्बैट में खुकरी ट्रेन करो। जब मैंने ADG इन्फेंट्री के सामने वो डेमो दिया और उनको वो बहुत अलग लिखा, एज लॉन्ग एज आवर सोल्जर्स आर सेफ, दे गेट द बेस्ट, आई हैव नो प्रॉब्लम।
Sir, are you appearing before the Lokayukta? Sir, where were you all these days? Sir, where were you all these days? Mr. Madal, where were you? This is Mr. Madal Virupakshapat. His followers are the ones who are in fact going on stating that he is a heart patient now, but all one needs to agree over here is that there are questions that are being asked, which he needs to go on and answer, because this man right here on our screens is tainted. His son is found with cash. He's caught red-handed, but there has been no sort of response.
कहीं ना कहीं मार्शल आर्ट्स लड़ाई झगड़े खून खराबे से ज्यादा आई थिंक इट्स अबाउट हार्मनी ऑल्सो।
सर इट्स अ पर्सनालिटी डेवलपमेंट प्रोग्राम।
पूरा मार्शल आर्ट्स।
बिल्कुल
जी।
आपकी फौज में भी यही है, डिसिप्लिन, माइंड, बॉडी एंड स्पिरिट इज इन कमांड ऑफ यू। आपके पास गन है बट आप किसी सिविलियन को गुस्सा आते गोली तो नहीं मार देते ना। यू हैव टू कंट्रोल दैट कंट्रोल कम्स फ्रॉम द माइंड एंड फ्रॉम द ट्रेनिंग। सो दैट जो आर्मी में हम बोलते हैं फोर्स कंटिन्यूम, किस फोर्स पे कितना फोर्स देना है, ये मेंटल कंट्रोल ट्रेनिंग से आता है, करेक्ट ट्रेनिंग से।
A serving soldier of the Indian Army has been murdered by a politician and the Latvian.
Double trouble for Kejriwal's deputy. Hours ahead of bail hearing, Sisodia is now arrested by the ED. But silent on Liquorgate charges, AAP continues to cry political vendetta. BRS leader K. Kavitha announces hunger strike in national capital. 18 opposition parties vow support. Gaylord cops hit a new low. Detained widows of Pulwama martyrs demanding compensation. Albanese meets Prime Minister Modi in India. Fresh Khalistani provocation in Brisbane.
And Xi Jinping gets a record third term as China's president. Hello and welcome to the day's first edition of Live and Breaking News here on Republic TV. I'm Rukma with you, and in news that's breaking right now, as Australian Prime Minister meets Prime Minister Modi in India, there's fresh provocation by pro-Khalistani groups in Brisbane in Australia. In the latest, Khalistan flags were unfurled at the Mahatma Gandhi statue in Brisbane. The group even raised pro-Khalistani slogans at Rome Parkland in Brisbane. So, fresh Khalistani provocation in Brisbane in Australia. Khalistani flags planted near the Mahatma Gandhi statue there. Also, other events that we will be apprising our viewers of just as soon as I get in touch with my colleague Amandeep, who will be joining me on this story. Amandeep, if you can hear me, tell us about this latest incident of Khalistani provocation in Australia, in Brisbane.
Well, Rukma, this is a fresh incident, and in fact, on one side, Prime Minister was meeting Australian Prime Minister, and even on the other side, in Brisbane, there are certain pro-Khalistani activists who have actually raised the flag at the Mahatma Gandhi statue in Rome Parklands in Brisbane. And even they have also raised the pro-Khalistani slogans. And even while releasing the statement from the Mahatma Gandhi statue, they have also said and requested their own Prime Minister to kindly talk with PM Modi regarding the demand of Khalistan in Punjab. And even they are also quoting it as a genuine demand. And if moreover, Rukma, Seek for Justice, a pro-Khalistani organization, has taken the responsibility. Their associates and aides have done this in Brisbane just because now Khalistan referendum is being conducted in Brisbane on 19th of March, and ahead of that this incident has been taken place. But such kind of incident is not the first one. Before that, there are certain temples has been vandalized in Australia as well as in Canada. Certain Khalistani elements are very much actively working in Australia as well as in Canada, but this time they have raised the flag in front of Mahatma Gandhi statue while giving a message that there is an existence of Khalistan in Australia. When Prime Minister of India and Australia are meeting, on the other side they are showing that on the ground of Australia there is some Khalistani activists who are still raising their demand for the formation of Khalistan to Punjab. So this is the incident that has been reported from the Brisbane so far, but the Hindu communities are very much against these elements, and in fact they are time and again condemning these incidents as well. But yes, Seek for Justice is continuously raising their own demand, and even before G20, even during the visit of Australian Prime Minister, and even there certain other occasions also, and General Counsel of Seek for Justice Gurpatwant Singh Pannu has taken the responsibility of doing this, and in fact they are also claimed that they will continue their practice in the future as well. Yes, Rupa.
Right. Meanwhile, the Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has made it clear that there is no support as far as the government of Australia is concerned for pro-Khalistani. This surge in Khalistani, pro-Khalistani, whether it's sloganeering, whether it's painting graffiti, Amandeep, it's very alarming because there is a simultaneous surge, it would appear, within our borders in the state of Punjab. In the kind of, rabble-rousing, in the kind of crowd-pulling that Amritpal Singh, that's being led by Amritpal Singh. He has emerged as the face here. Very alarming.
Well, absolutely, Rukma. Absolutely, very alarming. A young face, Amrit Pal Singh, he was mobilizing the youth and radicalize them for the Khalistani activities. And in fact, in a recent incident, it has been proved that they believe in the violence. They are not demanding their Khalistan in a peaceful manner. And in fact, they have put out the guns. They are always loaded with the arms and weapons. And even this agenda, Rukma, is being started from Punjab, and now it has been raised in the different countries, including Australia as well. And the Amrit Pal Singh and his
Right,
supporters are giving
Amandeep,
support from
I have to
several
interrupt
countries
you now
across the
because
globe.
I'll be coming back to you. Right, I'll be coming back to you because right now joining me is Jay Bharadwaj, editor of the Australia Today. A very warm welcome to you, sir. Mr. Bharadwaj, when we talk about this surge in pro-Khalistani activity, whether it's sloganeering, whether it's planting of flags, how do you read these new incidents, this fresh incident of planting the Khalistani flag near the statue of Mahatma Gandhi?
See, this is kind of, these Khalistan supporters have done it in a desperation to seek attention right now. We have established facts that the propaganda which has been run in Australia for last 4.5 months is originating from foreign lands, including Pakistan, USA, and Canada. Now, these goons who you can see in the pictures, they went to Roma Parkland. This is in Brisbane CBD, Central Park, where a number of programs happen. Diwali program also happened. And this particular Gandhi statue was unveiled by Prime Minister Narendra Modi when he visited around 7 years back in Brisbane. So they want to seek attention of the community that the Khalistan demand is from Australia, which is not true. And that's the desperate attempt of these people. And this is done because, I'll be pointing this out, because Prime Minister Anthony Albanese visited Sabarmati Ashram, and pictures and videos have been splashed all over media and social media. These Khalistani goons got frustrated out of that, and they want to attract attention. And this is not the first time that they have tried to misappropriate or attack Gandhi in Australia. Around 2.5 years back, Australian then Prime Minister Scott Morrison unveiled a Gandhi statue in Melbourne. The very next night, the Khalistani goons tried to decapitate that. So there have been incidents from these Khalistani supporters to do certain things to draw attention towards them.
Well, Jay, I have a question.
Right.
Amandeep Dixit this side. I mean, what are the Australian government is doing against these Khalistanis? Just because recently in Melbourne we have witnessed that they have indulged into the violence, and in fact, which was the claim earlier that these Khalistani referendums are into a peaceful manner, which is actually not. And it was quite evident in the Melbourne incident as well. What is the government doing against them? Why they are allowing them to do this in public places to establish this Khalistani agenda, which is actually against India?
Aman, definitely. Authorities are much more strict right now than what they were a couple of months back or last month even. So these Khalistani supporters gathered there in the dark of the night. They are not trying to do whatever they are doing in the daytime or broad daylight. They are gathering, they are attacking temples or other institutions in the dark. 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the night, they go and do their propaganda. They take pictures and formulate videos, and then they send these videos to their masters in US and Canada. After that, they kind of do their digital tricks on those videos, and then they start around 6 a.m. in the morning, they start propagating them on socials, and they send it to us media also. And that's when it comes to life. I mean, it's not that they are doing it.
प्रधानमंत्री साथ ही साथ प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी कार्ड ऑफ ऑनर दिया गया है अभी ऑस्ट्रेलियन प्रधानमंत्री को और गणमान्यों से मिलते हुए विदेश मंत्री से भी मुलाकात की। अब जो प्रतिनिधि मंडल आया हुआ है ऑस्ट्रेलिया से, अल्बनीज़े प्रधानमंत्री जो हैं ऑस्ट्रेलिया के, उनके साथ उनसे मुखातिब होते हुए प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी।
ऑस्ट्रेलियाई प्रधानमंत्री अल्बनीज़ भारत की 4 दिवसीय आधिकारिक यात्रा पर है और अपनी यात्रा की शुरुआत उन्होंने गुजरात के नरेंद्र मोदी स्टेडियम से की और आज हैदराबाद हाउस में उनको गार्ड ऑफ ऑनर दिया गया और यहाँ पर मीडिया से भी बातचीत करते नजर आएंगे।
Well, can I just thank Prime Minister Modi for the extraordinarily generosity of his very warm welcome here. Australia and India are great friends. We are partners and we're building that partnership even stronger each and every day, both through our personal relationship as the Prime Ministers of India and Australia, but importantly as well the relationship between our peoples. I lead a delegation here of significant business leaders as well. We want to cooperate with India and build a relationship in culture, in economic relations, as well as in our security. And I want to warmly thank Prime Minister Modi for this extraordinary welcome here today. We are competing on the cricket field to be the world's best, but together we are building a better world. Thank you.
ऑस्ट्रेलियन प्रधानमंत्री ने कही, उन्होंने सबसे पहले जो भारतीय प्रधानमंत्री हैं नरेंद्र मोदी, उनका धन्यवाद दिया कि जिस ऊष्मता के साथ उन्होंने उनका स्वागत भारत की इस धरती पर किया। साथ ही उन्होंने ये भी कहा कि भले ही क्रिकेट फील्ड पर हम एक दूसरे के विपक्ष में खड़े हैं, लेकिन हम एक बेहतर विश्व के लिए, विश्व के निर्माण के लिए एक साथ साझा हितों को लेकर आगे बढ़ रहे हैं।
तो प्रधानमंत्री एंथनी एल्बनीज यहाँ पर भारत में तमाम विभिन्न क्षेत्रों के खास रिप्रेजेंटेटिव से, प्रतिनिधियों से मुलाकात कर रहे हैं। दोनों प्रधानमंत्री साथ में बेहद गर्मजोशी के साथ मुस्कुराते हुए। आंचल, ये बहुत ही देखने लायक है। दोनों कितने ज्यादा कल भी हमने तस्वीरों को देखा जो दोनों
बिल्कुल दोस्त है, लेकिन उन्होंने ये भी बोला कि
जो बॉडी लैंग्वेज
दोस्ती है, ये दोस्ती को हम आगे बढ़ाते हैं। और बिल्कुल ये दो अलग अलग देशों के राष्ट्राध्यक्ष जरूर हैं, लेकिन वो जो दोस्ती है प्रधानमंत्री की, वो साफ तौर पर नजर आती हुई। कुछ ऐसा ही हमने देखा था कि बेंजामिन नेतन्याहू के साथ जो इजरायली प्रधानमंत्री हैं, साथ ही साथ जब राष्ट्रपति थे ओबामा अमेरिका के, उनके साथ इस तरह की दोस्ती, इस तरह की बॉडी लैंग्वेज हमने देखी, इतनी पॉजिटिविटी के साथ। तो यहाँ से प्रस्थान करते हुए अब ऑस्ट्रेलियन प्रधानमंत्री एंथनी एल्बनीजे, उनका औपचारिक स्वागत कर दिया गया है और उसके कुछ ही देर बाद वो राजघाट पहुंचेंगे। और सबसे अहम बात यहाँ पर यह है कि साफ तौर पर बहुत अहम जो 3 केंद्र बिंदु उन्होंने छुए हुए था कि जिस ऊष्मता के साथ उनका स्वागत किया गया। दूसरा,
Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese being given a ceremonial reception at Rashtrapati Bhavan. It's day 3 of the Australian Prime Minister's visit to India. Ties between Australia and India have undergone a huge transformation in recent years. The two countries, two nations have become closer than ever. Anthony Albanese is visiting India for the first time since he was elected in May 2022. And there you can see him being received there with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. This is being seen as an opportunity for the two countries to further deepen bilateral ties, particularly in the economic and defense sectors. The Australian Prime Minister there inspecting the Guard of Honour at Rashtrapati Bhavan. The visit was kick-started with the Australian Prime Minister landing in Ahmedabad. Yesterday we carried those visuals, we carried the live telecast of Prime Minister Albanese's visit to Ahmedabad, where with Prime Minister Modi he watched the 4th and final cricket test match between India and Australia. And joining me is my senior executive editor Abhishek Kapoor. Abhishek, if you could take our viewers through the significance of the Australian Prime Minister's visit, all that has been said so far, all that is, as well as all that is to come in the course of this very significant visit of Anthony Albanese.
Well, yes, Rukma, this is significant and of consequence insofar as India's strategic position in the Indo-Pacific is concerned. Australia has had drifted apart post-2008-9 towards China, and this is sort of coming back. So if you look at it, Prime Minister Albanese's visit to India, it's first after 2017. It is first after the two sides upgraded the partnership to a comprehensive strategic relationship. This is the first after the COVID pandemic in-person summit happening. So the chemistry in play and face-to-face understanding of each other. Remember, Australia also is part of AUKUS, which is Australia plus UK and US, apart from Australia, which is a military component of which India is not part, but then Australia is part of Quad. And there, a lot of cooperation is happening between the Alliance of Democracies as it is called, between the United States, India, Japan and Australia on making sure that the strategic imperatives of free and open Indo-Pacific are implemented in all these spheres. So be it in terms of engaging with all the nations in the region to make sure that the Chinese belligerence and the Chinese expansionism does not translate into change the geostrategic situation on the ground, the geopolitical situation on the ground, among other things. Apart from that, of course, there is a bilateral component as it happens in these talks. And also remember, this is the first visit happening by the Australian Prime Minister after the free trade agreement, the ACTA, kicked in December last year, about which Prime Minister Albanese has been in fact talking about, which frees or makes duty-free almost 85% plus Australian exports to India and 95% plus Indian exports to Australia. So, and I think that sense this is significant. And as I said, the realignment of Australia and coming back to the Quad is something which is going to be the most important aspect. Remember yesterday when Prime Minister Albanese was on board INS Vikrant, India's Indigenous aircraft carrier, he announced that Australia would be hosting the Malabar exercises for the first time. In fact, Australia had walked out of the Malabar exercises, and as I said, in the last decade. And so this realignment and Australian integration back into Quad is something which is going to be of a lot of geostrategic significance, about which we are going to talk for some time. Today, of course, after the ceremonial welcome that has been given to him, he goes to the Rajghat. I believe in the pictures he should be there already, and pays respects to the father of the nation. And then the bilateral summit that takes place, the delegation level talks that happen between the two sides, following which there's going to be a statement between Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Albanese, which is where we will get an idea of where things are headed. There are certain critical and important minerals that Australia can supply in terms of our energy needs, and there is general economic cooperation. Remember, he's traveling with a strong 25-member delegation, which includes about half a dozen ministers and then top business leaders from Australia. So in that sense, it's a very comprehensive kind of a visit, which has had a cultural component also, about which you were talking when the two prime ministers were present at the start of the fourth Border Gavaskar series test match between India and Australia yesterday. And then, of course, we had also Anthony Albanese being part of the holy celebrations at Raj Bhavan in Gujarat. And then again yesterday in Mumbai, for example, the Bollywood component, as it happens. Prime Minister Albanese plays tennis with Brett Lee. And remember, Brett Lee, the Australian cricketer, has had his Bollywood dalliances, so to say. So I think in that sense, this is a very significant, all-encompassing cultural / geopolitical / strategic visit that's really panning out. And I think everyone would be watching about the results of this visit as it winds down later in the day.
Yes, well, Abhishek, absolutely. Many thanks for joining us there and putting this visit, the first of Prime Minister Anthony Albanese since he took over in last year. Well, moving on now to other news stories. It's time for a short break. Coming up on the other side, Gelot cops hit a new low, detain widows of Pulwama martyrs demanding compensation. And Xi Jinping gets a record third term as China's president.
$11,000 placements last year. At Amity, we are committed to nurturing passionate, hardworking and proactive professionals.
Sir, are you appearing before the Lokayukta? Sir, where were you all these days? Sir, where were you all these days? Mr. Madal, where were you? This is Mr. Madal Virupak Shapat. His followers are the ones who are in fact going on stating that he is a heart patient now, but all one needs to agree over here is that there are questions that are being asked, which he needs to go on and answer, because this man right here on our screens is tainted. His son is found with cash. He's caught red-handed, but there has been no sort of response.
कहीं ना कहीं मार्शल आर्ट्स लड़ाई झगड़े खून खराबे से ज्यादा आई थिंक इट्स अबाउट हार्मनी ऑल्सो।
सर इट्स अ पर्सनैलिटी डेवलपमेंट प्रोग्राम।
पूरा मार्शल आर्ट्स
बिल्कुल
जी।
आपकी फौज में भी यही है, डिसिप्लिन, माइंड, बॉडी एंड स्पिरिट इज इन कमांड ऑफ यू। आपके पास गन है बट आप किसी सिविलियन को गुस्सा आते गोली तो नहीं मार देते ना। यू हैव टू कंट्रोल दैट कंट्रोल कम्स फ्रॉम द माइंड एंड फ्रॉम द ट्रेनिंग। सो दैट जो आर्मी में हम बोलते हैं फोर्स कंटिन्यूम, किस फोर्स पे कितना फोर्स देना है, ये मेंटल कंट्रोल ट्रेनिंग से आता है, करेक्ट ट्रेनिंग से।
A serving soldier of the Indian Army has been murdered by a politician and the Latvian media is quiet about it. Not emphatically, not vocally, not till Republic named and shamed them about their silence over Lance Naik Prabhu's death. Look at this man. He's the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister, and as our reporter runs after him to ask him to say one thing, he says not one word. He just keeps running away from the Republic reporters.
All the 9 of the accused have been taken to custody. The primary accused, Chinnasamy, had been picked up by the CID and handed over to the Tamil Nadu cops.
आप इंडिया आते हैं एंड देन यू स्टार्ट स्पेशल फोर्सेस, एनएसजी, गरुड़, मार्कोस। किस तरीके से ये सफर शुरू हुआ स्पेशल फोर्सेस को ट्रेन करने?
कर्नल साहब, तो ही वाज एट दैट टाइम सीओ ऑफ 6AR और पहली अपॉर्चुनिटी उन्होंने मुझे दी।
अच्छा।
टू ट्रेन हिज रेजिमेंट एंड ही आस्क्ड मी कि आप इनको नाइफ टू नाइफ कॉम्बैट में खुकरी ट्रेन करो। जब मैंने एडीजी इन्फेंट्री के सामने वो डेमो दिया और उनको वो बहुत अलग लिखा, एज लॉन्ग एज आवर सोल्जर्स आर सेफ, दे गेट द बेस्ट, आई हैव नो प्रॉब्लम।
Sir, are you appearing before the Lokayukta? Sir, where were you all these days? Sir, where were you all these days? Mr. Madal, where were you? This is Mr. Madal Virupakshapat. His followers are the ones who are in fact going on stating that he is a heart patient now, but all one needs to agree over here is that there are questions that are being asked, which he needs to go on and answer, because this man right here on our screens is tainted. His son is found with cash. He's caught red-handed, but there has been no sort of response.
कहीं ना कहीं मार्शल आर्ट्स लड़ाई झगड़े खून खराबे से ज्यादा आई थिंक इट्स अबाउट हार्मनी ऑल्सो।
सर इट्स अ पर्सनैलिटी डेवलपमेंट प्रोग्राम।
पूरा मार्शल आर्ट्स
बिल्कुल
जी।
आपकी फौज में भी यही है, डिसिप्लिन, माइंड, बॉडी एंड स्पिरिट इज इन कमांड ऑफ यू। आपके पास गन है बट आप किसी सिविलियन को गुस्सा आते गोली तो नहीं मार देते ना। यू हैव टू कंट्रोल दैट कंट्रोल कम्स फ्रॉम द माइंड एंड फ्रॉम द ट्रेनिंग। सो दैट जो आर्मी में हम बोलते हैं फोर्स कंटिन्यूम, किस फोर्स पे कितना फोर्स देना है, ये मेंटल कंट्रोल ट्रेनिंग से आता है, करेक्ट ट्रेनिंग से।
A serving soldier of the Indian Army has been murdered by a politician and the Latvian media is quiet about it. Not emphatically, not vocally, not till Republic named and shamed them about their silence over Lance Naik Prabhu's death. Look at this man. He's the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister, and as our reporter runs after him to ask him to say one thing, he says not one word. He just keeps running away from the Republic reporters.
All the 9 of the accused have been taken to custody. The primary accused, Chinnasamy, had been picked up by the CID and handed over to the Tamil Nadu cops.
आप इंडिया आते हैं एंड देन यू स्टार्ट special forces, NSG, गरुड़, मार्कोस, किस तरीके से ये सफर शुरू हुआ स्पेशल फोर्सेस को ट्रेन करने?
कर्नल साहब, तो ही वॉज एट दैट टाइम CEO of 6AR और पहली अपॉर्चुनिटी उन्होंने मुझे दी
अच्छा
टू ट्रेन हिज रेजिमेंट एंड ही आस्क्ड मी कि आप उनको नाइफ टू नाइफ कॉम्बैट में
Double trouble for Kejriwal's deputy hours ahead of the bail hearing. Sisodia is now arrested by the ED. But silent on Liquorgate charges, Aam Aadmi Party continues to cry political vendetta. BRS leader K. Kavita announces hunger strike in the national capital. 18 opposition parties vow their support. Yehalot police hits a new law, detains videos of the Pulwama martyrs demanding compensation. Anthony Albanese meets Prime Minister Modi in India. Fresh Khalistani provocation in Brisbane. And Xi Jinping gets a record third term as China's president. Good morning and welcome. This is live and breaking on Republic TV. I'm Nupur Talwar Suri. Now, the political slugfest triggered in the poll-bound state of Karnataka after the son of the BJP MLA from Channagiri, Madal Virupakshappa, was allegedly caught accepting a bribe of 40 lakh rupees along with his accountant and 3 others by the state Lok Ayukta is continuing. Now, the BJP MLA was also named with others in the case registered, as it was alleged that his son Prashant Madal accepted the bribe on his behalf. Now, after almost 7 days, he has finally appeared before the Lok Ayukta on Thursday for questioning in the bribery case. As per reports, he was quizzed by officials for over 4 hours, during which his statement was recorded. A further probe is now being conducted in the matter. But here's what the accused MLA had said after grilling.
ನಾನು ಲೋಕಾಯುಕ್ತರ ತನಿಖೆಗೆ ಸಂಪೂರ್ಣ ಸಹಕಾರವನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಇದು ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು. ಅದರಿಂದ ನಾನು ಒಟ್ಟು ಲೋಕಾಯುಕ್ತರಿಗೆ ಏನು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳನ್ನು ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಸರಿಯಾದ ನಾನು ಲೋಕಾಯುಕ್ತರ ತನಿಖೆಗೆ ಸಂಪೂರ್ಣ ಸಹಕಾರವನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಇದು ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು. ಅದರಿಂದ ನಾನು ಒಟ್ಟು ಲೋಕಾಯುಕ್ತರಿಗೆ ಏನು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳನ್ನು ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಸರಿಯಾದ
It's not just the first time where 40 lakh rupees was caught by the Lok Ayukta while his son was accepting a bribe. After that, pictures on your screen are of a raid that was conducted where about 8 crore rupees in cash was also seized by the Lok Ayukta. Let's go across to Prajwal. Prajwal, the question that everybody is asking is, why has he still not been arrested? Given the fact that there are allegations that it was on his behalf that his son was actually taking the bribe. So, why is it that it appears that there has been delayed action in this, Prajwal?
Now, if we are looking at this entire controversy which has broken out in Karnataka now, he clearly goes on and states that he does not want to react on this particular issue, but he says that the media, whenever I speak in front of media, there is a problem and I don't know what I'm speaking. He also went on and played the sympathy card, stating that he's been a heart patient. But all said and done now, we are looking at, we are basically looking at the grilling that took place last evening between 4 to 9, where he was grilled for over 5 hours now, and he's been posed questions asking what is his relationship between Nicholas and Gangadhar, who are the accused number 5 and 6 in this particular case, and apart from which, whether he knows the complainant Shreyas Kashyap here, because we also get to understand that Shreyas Kashyap on the 2nd of March had registered stating that Madal Virupaksappa is directly responsible, and he was the one who asked him to go on and approach his son to give a bribe.
Right now, give us more.
बुधवार को अहमदाबाद में मौजूद थे प्रधानमंत्री।
All right, so pictures on your screen are of the Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese at Rajghat paying his respects to the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi. He has a long list of commitments today. He was earlier given the Guard of Honour this morning at the Rashtrapati Bhavan, was greeted by the Prime Minister. But right now, of course, paying his respects to Mahatma Gandhi, the father of the nation, at Rajghat. The Australian Prime Minister, of course, is accompanied by a huge delegation, and we are expecting talks to range on various issues. They will, of course, include economic policies, education policy, as well as the fact that defence ties between India and Australia will be deepened as part not just of the Quad but also bilateral defence agreements. Now, do remember that India, Australia, Japan and the US are part of the Quad, which is essentially seen as a grouping in the Indo-Pacific region, which has gained increased importance in the face of the Chinese threat. Anthony Albanese, of course, was also yesterday at INS Vikrant. Thereafter, he did announce that the military exercise or the naval exercise Malabar will this year be conducted in Australia, and navies of the 4 Quad countries will be participating in it. So Anthony Albanese has got a host of issues that he's likely to discuss with his Indian counterpart, Prime Minister Modi. At the moment, of course, he's at the Rajghat in New Delhi, paying his tributes to the father of father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi. Thereafter, we are told that there will be a series of meetings at Hyderabad House as well as others. Right now, of course, penning down his thoughts on India and his visit to Rajghat.
Just thank Prime Minister Modi for the extraordinarily generosity of his very warm welcome here. Australia and India are great friends. We are partners, and we're building that partnership even stronger each and every day, both through our personal relationship as the Prime Ministers of India and Australia, but importantly as well the relationship between our peoples. I lead a delegation here of significant business leaders as well. We want to cooperate with India and build a relationship in culture, in economic relations, as well as in our security. And I want to warmly thank Prime Minister Modi for this extraordinary welcome here today. We are competing on the cricket field to be the world's best, but together we are building a better world.
Well, Anthony Albanese over there talking about the special relationship between India and Australia. India and Australia, of course, also marking 75 years of the relationship between the two countries. Albanese, of course, was given the ceremonial welcome at the Rashtrapati Bhavan earlier, inspecting the Guard of Honour. Thereafter, of course, talking about the deep and strategic ties that India and Australia share. He also spoke at length about the security relationship that we are going to be seeing between the two countries, the enhanced relationship under Quad, as well as, of course, another grouping known as AUKUS, which India and Australia are both part of. We are also given to understand that Australia, of course, is India's 17th largest trading partner, and that's something that needs work, perhaps, in terms of bringing it upwards. So economic ties, that's also going to be another focus of this visit of Anthony Albanese right now, of course, at the Raj Ghat, being given a memento of his visit to Raj Ghat. So we have seen him participating in various activities in his 3 days that he's been in India. So far, of course, he was part of that test match. He and the Prime Minister both witnessed it for a while, took a lap of honor at the Narendra Modi Stadium, and thereafter, of course, today is going to be largely focused on bilateral dialogues. Abhishek Kapoor, our senior executive editor, also on the phone line with us. Abhishek, good morning. Abhishek, give us a sense of the kind of bilaterals that we are likely to see. Now, the focus, we understand, is going to be economics and security.
Well, yes. So when the delegation level talks happen, it's typically about the bilateral component. Obviously, the major focus is going to be that. And then, of course, how India and Australia come together and collaborate in the larger geopolitical and geostrategic space. So on the bilateral component, remember, this is the first summit happening between the two leaders post the kicking in of ECTA, which is a free trade area that has come into existence between the two nations. And remember yesterday the pictures coming in of Prime Minister Albanese at a social do in Mumbai, and talking about how Australian produce like the Australian wines and avocados and whatnot would be more visible in the restaurants in Mumbai and Delhi. Apart from that, of course, there are it's a mineral-rich nation and region, and so the critical minerals that are needed for India's energy security. And remember, coal supplies coming in from Australia, wheat supplies coming in. Not exactly wheat supplies, but Australia has that possibility on agriculture collaboration. So that's the bilateral component. The bilateral trade, which is in the range of $25 to $30 billion now, could be touching $50 billion over the next 5 years post the changes in the duty regime which has come in because of the free trade agreement. Almost 80 plus value, in terms of value, 80 plus percentage of trade becoming duty free on both the sides. So India exporting to Australia and Australia exporting to India. The geostrategic component, we'll keep talking about it, but essentially Australia realigning itself to Quad post the last decade where they were a little more posing up to China. I think that's going to be very significant in this summit that's taking place in a while from now.
All right, so a wide range of issues likely to be discussed in the bilaterals that take place today. Abhishek, thank you for joining us. So Abhishek Kapoor bringing us details of what's likely to happen in the talks between the two sides. All right, you are watching Republic TV. Of course, we will continue our focus on the visit of the Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese to India. It is day 3 and talks on a host of issues are likely to take place. Stay with us.
आप इंडिया आते हैं and then you start special forces, NSG, गरुड़, मार्कोस, किस तरीके से ये सफर शुरू हुआ स्पेशल फोर्सेस को ट्रेन करने?
कर्नल साहब, तो ही वाज एट दैट टाइम CEO of 6AR और पहली अपॉर्चुनिटी उन्होंने मुझे दी,
अच्छा,
टू ट्रेन हिज रेजिमेंट, एंड ही आस्क्ड मी कि आप उनको नाइफ टू नाइफ कॉम्बैट में खुकरी ट्रेन करो. जब मैंने ADG इन्फेंट्री के सामने वो डेमो दिया और उनको वो बहुत अलग लिखा, एज लॉन्ग एज आवर सोल्जर्स आर सेफ, they get the best, I have no problem.
Sir, are you appearing before the Lokayukta? Sir, where were you all these days? Sir, where were you all these days? Mr. Madal, where were you? This is Mr. Madal Virupakshapat. His followers are the ones who are in fact going on stating that he is a heart patient now, but all one needs to agree over here is that there are questions that are being asked, which he needs to go on and answer, because this